Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Need I say more? What's going on, guys, and welcome to my review of Renfield, the latest Nicolas Cage extravaganza. And I do mean extravaganza. Thank you so much for clicking here. I really do appreciate it. So the film tells the story of, you guessed it, Renfield, Dracula's henchman, who just wants a normal life away from the Count, his demons, and the bloodshed that comes with them. So I'm going to be completely and utterly blunt with you guys. When I first heard about this project, I thought it was a joke. When I heard that Nicolas Cage was involved, I thought that was a joke. And that's pretty sad. And you can't blame me because he's come out with some bombshells. Just utter and complete bombs. Some imaginable projects. I mean, he was an action icon of his era, of my childhood. He was considered to be on top there with Schwarzenegger, with Stallone, with Willis. He's the guy that came out with The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, just to name a few. But then when the trailers for Renfield started showing up, color me intrigued, color me hooked. It looked pretty awesome, especially the way the first trailer just revealed that it was Nick Cage. Even though I kind of figured that he was in it because I recognized his voice. And, of course I read up about it before I, watched the trailers because I always look up, info on upcoming movies. That's how I thought it was going to be a joke. But whenever the trailers first came on and he just revealed himself the way he did, yeah, it looked pretty badass. And all my worries and doubts started, just went out the window. Was this an instant surprise, though? Was this something that finally made me say, finally, Nick Cage is back, baby? Or did this suck blood? No pun intended. Let's find out and start with the positives for Renfield. I gotta say, first and foremost, prepare to be caged. Or something of that magnitude. He was freaking awesome as Dracula. It's exactly what we needed from this guy. He has played a convict, he's played assassins, he's played a weapons specialist, he's played Ghost Rider, and even a wackadoo version of himself. Dracula is exactly what this guy needed on his resume. Is exactly what Nicolas Cage needed on his resume. He played the character with such a fresh take, a mixture of Lugosi, of Bela Lugosi, along with his own, with Nicolas Cage's own, wacky sense. Just that wacky personification that he added to this character of Dracula really made it really interesting. Made it a fresh, new take on the character and the almost century that this character has been a Hollywood icon. Nick Cage just brought such a fresh take while at the same time still being just as sinister of it as ever. And just as evil, and like you buy into the premise of what this guy's playing. You buy into the premise of Nicolas Cage's own, Dracula version of this character. In other words, he's caged it pretty good. No. Like I said, Nicolas Cage throws his own, little formula to it, which makes it kind of wacky, but at the same time you believe it. With the narcissism and the controlling, just the controlling nature of this character. It was great. And again, this is exactly what Cage needs to make his great comeback. I asked you if this was one of those that really made me want to say, hey, he's finally back, baby. He is, baby. That's it. And Nicholas Hoult was pretty good as the title character Renfield. I've seen this character on and off through the years, ever since Mad Max. But I always think he's a great actor. He's not disappointed me yet. And the things that I've seen of him since Mad Max, he is not disappointed. And for Renfield, I think he played a pretty cool title character. Yeah, I liked what he brought. He basically plays this character that for almost nearly a century has been under the thumb of this evil entity. He's basically this familiar who just all of a sudden wakes up and has an attack of consciousness, and he just wants a normal life and just wants to settle down. The way that Nicolas Hoult plays this character was actually pretty good. I think he played it off pretty well. which makes the concept kind of goofy, but in a good way. Again, you have this character that's been under the thumb of Dracula all these decades, and he's a familiar, so he's not completely human, and he's got these powers that derives from these bugs, which I also thought was pretty clever. He knows how to kick ass and take names, pretty much. But he's just this guy that wants some piece of normality before whatever happens. And he just wants a normal life. He just wants to settle down, and he just wants to, just get a big piece of the pie of life. He's just one of those characters that no matter what you found out about him, no matter what you know about him, as bad of things that he's done for Dracula, he's pretty much under the influence. You can pretty much forgive all that. As bad of things that he's done, you can pretty much forgive all that because the way Nicolas Cage plays this character with such charm, and he just plays it in a way to where you feel for this character. You really want him to succeed in what he's wanting to do because of the way he perceives it. And it just makes you really feel for him. You just can't help but cheer for him. And not only that, you have this whole codependency thing, which I really like. And it really sends a really good message out there because it kind of implies in real life, it implies to a lot of people in real life, like who doesn't want to be independent? Who doesn't want to be free? Who doesn't want to settle down and just live their life? Instead of just being under the influence all the time under evil entities. Well, not exactly in real life, but still, you get what I mean. You have this guy that just wants to be happy. And again, that applies in real life. That applies to a lot of people. And I really do like that aspect of this, that whole codependency thing, to where you just want a normal life and you just want to be happy. I mean, that's just a powerful message within itself because it relates to real life. Now to get to the part of this review that really made me excited, the gore. When I tell you that there was plenty of carnage candy and gore and blood, you better believe it. It was pretty much drenched in it. It held nothing back. When it gets to those scenes, it doesn't play around. It doesn't fool around. It doesn't halter at all. There's just one scene where this guy gets his arms chopped off and Renfield uses that as a bat on others and kills other people with it. That's how crazy it was. The amount of splatter and gore and just... it was all batshit crazy. And to add even more to this, and this is something that I didn't think I'd ever say, and I was just complaining about this just the other day in another video, but there is CGI blood. The whole thing is CGI blood, but it did not look bad at all. It was actually done right. I'm always going to stand my ground on this to where when you use CGI in horror, it never mixes well. It does not mix well. But for Renfield, because the way they was shot and the way the action sequences played out and how fast-paced and in tone and pace and everything, it didn't falter because of that. The angles, the wide shots, it was done very well because of that. And no matter how much CGI blood it threw out, it didn't look cheesy. It didn't piss me off. It wasn't distracting. It wasn't disturbing. It was actually done really well. And that's something I never thought I'd say about a horror movie, because that's what this technically is, the horror/comedy with a goofy concept. It felt like it was handled very carefully, and for that, kudos and props to the filmmakers. I really do appreciate that, and that's something rolling into this that I was very, very worried about, but colored me impressed. And that's probably something we'll never get again, or probably not in the next 10 years, because it normally never mixes in a horror using CGI anything. It just made me very happy. I'll just leave it at that. And speaking about the story, I like the fact that there was two evils in this. Not only did you have to worry about the evil entity who was Dracula, but you had this crime family who Ben Schwartz, the guy that played Sonic, and I had no idea this was him until I looked it up, but the guy that played Sonic the Hedgehog, that voiced Sonic in these latest, Sonic movies, which I'm also a fan of. Ben Schwartz plays one of the, crime family members. And I thought he did a pretty good job. But not only that, you have this crime family that's over this city that pretty much gets away with everything. And then you have Dracula, and I like that concept. Not only you have to worry about this, you have to worry about that. That made the movie even more interesting. And now as I dive into my mixed, Awkwafina. She's not somebody that I quite warmed up to. I don't find her style of comedy funny. I don't really think that she's that great of an actor. I said this about her in Shang-Chi, which is the only other thing I've seen her in. But she's just not one of those that I've quite warmed up to yet. I want to. I'm hoping to see her in something in the future that will get me a little closer to her, but right now, nah. However, I do admit that there was some little moments that kind of slithered in there with some of her dialogue and some of the comedy that they did give her that, sort of like creeped in there that got a couple of chuckles kind of snickered at, I do admit. Yeah, very little, but yet they were still there. Plus, that whole character trait where she plays this cop and that she's the only one in an apartment that wants to do the right thing in a sea of the corruption that she's a part of the corruption of her police department that she's a part of. She's like the one beacon of hope, really, that she gives Renfield once they meet. She's held up as like the moral compass of this film. I find that very endearing. Once Renfield and this lady meet, she's like the beacon of hope that Renfield actually develops and has a reason of doing what he's doing and, wanting to get away from Dracula and all of that. I like that. I really do like that because it's like she plays a very important part of the film because of that, which is why she's not in the negatives completely. Now, I actually did find her character endearing, setting aside her acting, setting aside her jokes, and just, again, that's just not something I've never really got 100% from this actor. But again, like I said, I'm hoping to see something in the future that has her in it, with her in it, to where I can fully get 100% on board. But now it's just not doing it. But her character trait in this film, I actually really did like. Just that whole moral compass. And just that whole motivation to why Renfield is doing what he's doing. And now as I dive into my negatives, I didn't like the whole side plot that involved Awkwafina's character about her father being murdered. And I just felt like it could have been dealt another way, because in a way they were wanting to find a proper motivation for Awkwafina's character to doing what she's doing. But I felt like there was other ways to do that, because every time that would come up, it would feel like it would veer off to what we actually really paid to see. Because every time it would get to those scenes, I was thinking to myself, all right, let's just get back to Renfield and Dracula, let them hash it out, and let Dracula do what he's going to do, and let Renfield do what he's going to do. Let's get back to that. So I just don't really think that the whole father murder thing with Awkwafina's character played out that well. On paper, it may have sounded good, but the way it was executed, not so much. But in the end, guys, this was a complete and total blast. The film was definitely entertaining and deserves to be on a pedestal. So Renfield, what was your thoughts on it? Have you seen it yet? Are you a fan? Was this worth sinking your teeth into? Did you enjoy this rendition of Dracula? Did you enjoy Nicolas Cage's rendition of Dracula? Or was this not in your blood bank? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share the big four. Make sure to click that bell icon as always so you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.